I'm Claire, and my life used to be as predictable as the sunrise over our quiet suburban street, until the day everything I thought I knew shattered like glass. Behind the modest dresses and the walls I've built around my heart, a storm of longing has been brewing, one I've fought to ignore. But when my husband, Mark, looked at me with a cryptic smile and whispered words that sent chills down my spine, I found myself standing on the edge of a secret so dark, so forbidden, it could unravel everything. What did he mean by a gift I needed to accept? And why does my heart race with both dread and desire at the thought of finding out? Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window, watching the first blush of dawn creep over the tidy lawns of our suburban neighborhood, a quiet little pocket just beyond the hum of a lively college town. My name's Claire, and at 36, I've carved out a life that looks as neat as these manicured yards. But beneath the surface, there's a current I can't quite name, pulling at me in ways I don't dare voice. I've always been the kind of woman who keeps herself under wraps, literally and otherwise. Even in the sticky heat of summer, you'll find me in long-sleeved, high-necked dresses, my skin hidden from the sun and prying eyes alike. My emotions, my desires, they're locked up tighter than a safe, the key long since misplaced. My world is small, contained within the four walls of my cluttered home office. It's a mess of papers, books, and half-empty coffee mugs, but it's mine. I'm a freelance editor, a job that fits me like a glove. Quiet, solitary, letting me sink into other people's words so I don't have to face my own. My husband, Mark, is the steady anchor in this life we've built over 12 years. At 38, he's a security guard at the college nearby, all broad shoulders and quiet strength, with hazel eyes that used to light up when they met mine. He's dependable, the kind of man who'd never let you down, but lately, there's a distance between us I can't bridge. Our days are a loop of polite exchanges. Good morning, how was work, dinner's ready, and our evenings are as predictable as the ticking of the clock on the mantel. We've become strangers sharing a roof, and I don't know how to reach him anymore. I've met some of Mark's colleagues in passing when I've stopped by the campus to drop off his lunch, or just to see him on a slow day. They're older men, rough around the edges, with gruff voices and stares that linger too long. Their eyes seem to see right through my carefully constructed walls, and it sets my nerves on edge every time. I always hurry away, clutching my cardigan tighter, as if it could shield me from their unspoken judgments. Inside, I'm a tangle of contradictions. I avoid mirrors, not because I dislike what I see, but because I'm afraid of what I might find staring back. A woman I don't recognize, one who's been hiding for so long she's forgotten who she is. I've trained myself to keep my voice soft, my gestures small, as if taking up less space might make me less of a burden, less of a mystery even to myself. But there's this ache, this vague longing for something more, something I can't put a name to. It's like a whisper in the back of my mind, growing louder with each passing day, urging me to step out of the shadows I've clung to for so long. Mark and I wake up the next morning with a strange cocktail of nerves and excitement bubbling in my chest, like I'm standing on the edge of something I can't quite see. The sunlight spills through the bedroom curtains, casting long golden streaks across the hardwood floor, and I lie there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, trying to pin down why my heart's already racing. Mark's side of the bed is empty, the sheets cool to the touch, and I can hear the faint clink of dishes from the kitchen. I roll out of bed, my bare feet hitting the cold floor, and shuffle to the closet, my mind already spinning with questions about today. Getting ready feels like a ritual, each step deliberate as I try to steady myself. I pull out a navy long-sleeved dress, the fabric soft but structured, falling just below my knees. It's modest, familiar, a shield against the world, and I slip it on, smoothing it over my hips with hands that tremble just a little. I stand in front of the mirror, twisting my hair into a tight bun, each strand pinned with precision, as if controlling my appearance might control whatever's coming. My reflection stares back, sharp and critical, pale skin, dark circles under my eyes, a tightness in my jaw I can't shake. I tilt my head, wondering if I look ready for whatever this is. I don't even know what I'm preparing for, but the uncertainty gnaws at me. Downstairs, Mark is at the kitchen table, his broad frame hunched over a mug of coffee. He's unusually quiet this morning, not even glancing at the newspaper spread out in front of him. Instead, he sips slowly, a small, secretive smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, like he's holding on to something I'm not privy to. I pour myself a cup, the steam curling up between us, and try to catch his eye, but he's somewhere else. Finally, he looks up, his hazel gaze locking with mine, and says, "Meet me at the college auditorium at noon." His voice is low, almost a murmur, and he offers no further explanation before turning back to his coffee. I stand there, frozen, the mug warm in my hands, replaying his words. Noon, the auditorium. No hints, no clues, just that cryptic instruction and the memory of his odd comment last night about something not entirely proper. What could he mean by that? The morning drags on, and I'm useless at my desk, surrounded by the usual clutter of manuscripts and sticky notes. My eyes keep drifting to the clock, watching the minutes tick closer to noon. I try to edit, to focus on the words in front of me, but my thoughts are a tangled mess, looping back to Mark's secretive smile, his vague words. I imagine the possibilities. Maybe he's planned a surprise picnic on campus, or a private tour of some restricted area he's gotten access to through his job. But there's a nagging feeling, a whisper in the back of my mind that something bigger, something I can't predict, is waiting for me at that auditorium. The clock finally strikes 11:30, and I push away from my desk, my heart pounding as I grab my purse and head out the door. The drive to the college is a blur, the familiar streets passing by in a haze of nerves. I park near the auditorium, the looming brick building casting long shadows in the midday sun, and step out, my legs shaky as I make my way to the entrance. The heavy doors creak as I push them open, and I'm met with a dim, cavernous space, the air cool and still. My footsteps echo on the hardwood floor as I walk toward the stage, the empty seats staring back at me like silent witnesses. I call out for Mark, my voice trembling in the vastness, but there's no answer, just the faint hum of the overhead lights. Then, from the edges of the darkness near the stage, shadows begin to shift, taking form as three figures step into the light. My breath catches as I recognize them, Mark's colleagues from the security team. There's Victor, a burly man in his late 50s, his salt and pepper beard framing a face hardened by years, his piercing gray eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. Beside him is Daniel, early 50s, lean and wiry, a smirk playing on his lips that doesn't quite reach the darkness in his gaze. And then there's Frank, the oldest at around 60, his weathered face etched with lines of experience, his movements slow and deliberate as he stands slightly apart. They're all in their security uniforms, the dark fabric clinging to their frames, but their postures are too casual, almost predatory, as they form a loose semicircle near the stage. Their eyes, intense, knowing, seem to strip away every layer of restraint I've built around myself, every stitch of fabric I've used to hide. My stomach churns, a mix of confusion and a raw, growing sense of vulnerability, as I force the words out, my voice barely above a whisper. "Where's Mark?" Before any of them can respond, a crackle cuts through the silence, and Mark's voice echoes from the auditorium speakers, calm but firm, carrying a weight that pins me in place. "This is for you, Claire, a gift. If you're ready, let go." My head snaps up, searching the corners of the room until I spot the glint of a camera mounted high above, its lens trained on me. He's watching from the security booth, seeing every tremor, every flicker of doubt on my face. My mind reels, thoughts crashing into each other as the implication sinks in like a stone. This isn't a prank, not some misunderstanding I can laugh off later. Mark has orchestrated this moment, set the stage for me to step beyond the boundaries of our marriage, to explore a part of myself I've kept buried for years under layers of modesty and fear. My knees feel weak, and I grip the edge of the stage to steady myself, my mind racing with questions I don't dare ask aloud. I stand frozen center stage, my hands trembling as I clutch the fabric of my dress, the navy material crumpling under my fingers. A storm of emotions surges through me. Shock at the audacity of this setup, fear of what it means, a sharp flicker of anger at Mark for springing this on me without a word of warning. How could he do this? Expose me to such a raw, uncharted moment without preparing me. But beneath the turmoil, there's something else. Something I've tried to ignore for so long, a deep, buried curiosity, a whisper of what could be if I let myself cross this line. I think back to the years I've spent hiding, not just my body behind long sleeves and high necklines, but my desires, my unspoken wants, tucked away in the darkest corners of my mind. I remember fleeting moments, stolen glances at strangers on the street, the heat of their gaze lingering on me, dreams that jolt me awake, flushed and breathless, only to be pushed aside by morning light and routine. I've always turned away from those thoughts, ashamed of their pull. As I stand there on the stage, the weight of the moment presses down on me like a physical force. Victor, Daniel, and Frank close in, their presence suffocating yet strangely electric, surrounding me in a way that makes my pulse hammer against my ribs. Victor steps nearest, his rough, calloused fingers brushing along the edge of my jaw, sending an involuntary shiver through me. His breath is warm, almost too close, as it grazes my ear, and he murmurs something meant to soothe, though the words blur into a haze I can't grasp. My focus fractures as Daniel moves behind me, his hands gliding with a slow, intentional touch down the curve of my spine. The fabric of my navy dress shifts under his fingers, and a ripple of sensation courses through me, sharp and unbidden, making my breath hitch. Then there's Frank, stepping into my line of sight, his frame towering and solid. His voice is a deep, gravelly rumble, whispering something I can't quite catch, but the weight of his tone anchors me to the spot, commanding and inescapable. The auditorium itself seems to close in around us, amplifying every detail. The dim light from the overhead fixtures casts long, jagged shadows across the worn wooden stage, stretching out like fingers reaching for the empty seats. There's a faint hum from the air conditioning, a constant undercurrent that buzzes in my ears, mixing with the occasional creak of the old floorboards beneath our combined weight. The air carries a musty scent, like forgotten curtains and aged wood, mingling with the sharper notes of their cologne. Something rugged, earthy, and overwhelming. My own breathing is uneven, loud in my ears, a staccato rhythm that betrays every nerve firing under my skin. Their hands, the heat radiating from them, sear through the thin barrier of my dress, igniting a rush I can't ignore. I'm hyper-aware of every point of contact, every shift in the air, and above all, I'm aware of that camera perched high in the corner, its unblinking eye capturing every second. Mark is watching. I can almost feel his gaze through the lens, and I wonder what's going through his mind right now. Is there regret? Jealousy? Or something else entirely? Inside, I'm a battlefield of conflicting emotions, torn in ways I've never allowed myself to acknowledge. My thoughts flicker to Mark, to the promises we made under a different kind of light, to the quiet life we've pieced together over the years. I think of our home, the familiar clutter of my office, the way he used to look at me like I was the only thing that mattered. But then there's this other part of me, the one I've buried so deep I barely recognize her. A woman who hungers for connection, for the rawness of feeling, for the kind of touch that sets every nerve alight. I've spent so long denying her, wrapping myself in layers of fabric and restraint, that I've forgotten what it's like to let her breathe. Now, standing here, I feel that hidden part of me clawing to the surface, desperate and unapologetic. My shoulders are tense, my hands clenched at my sides, but slowly, deliberately, I make a choice. I let go. My muscles loosen, my fingers uncurl, and I stand there, open to whatever this moment holds. Victor's hands move to the top of my dress, his fingers deftly working at the small buttons near my collar. I don't stop him. The fabric parts, just enough to reveal a sliver of skin I've kept hidden for so long, and the cool air of the auditorium brushes against it, a stark contrast to the warmth of their nearness. I feel exposed, raw, but there's a strange power in it too, like I'm taking back something I didn't even know I'd lost. This isn't just surrender, it's a reclaiming. Every step, every allowance is mine to give, and I hold on to that truth like a lifeline. I'm choosing this, not just for them, not just for Mark watching from behind that camera, but for myself. I need to know who I am when the walls come down, when the layers are peeled. As the intensity of the moment with Victor, Daniel, and Frank begins to fade, I'm left standing on the stage, my breath still uneven, my skin tingling with the echoes of what just transpired. The auditorium feels heavier now, the air thick with unspoken truths, and I'm caught in a whirlwind of emotions I can't fully untangle. My dress is slightly askew, the top button's still undone, and I don't rush to fix it. For the first time in forever, I don't feel the need to hide. I'm raw, exposed, but there's a strength in that vulnerability I've never known before. I glance up at the camera in the corner, wondering what Mark must be thinking, feeling, after witnessing everything. My heart pounds with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty, needing to see him, to understand where we stand after this. Then, I hear it. The faint echo of boots against the hardwood floor, a steady, deliberate rhythm cutting through the silence. My eyes dart to the side door of the auditorium, and there he is. Mark steps into the dim light, still in his security uniform, the dark fabric hugging his broad frame. His face is a canvas of emotions I can't quite decipher. There's no anger, no judgment, just a quiet intensity that makes my chest tighten. His hazel eyes lock onto mine as he approaches the stage, each step purposeful, the sound of his boots reverberating in the vast space. I brace myself, expecting a wave of regret or reproach to crash over us. But it doesn't come. Instead, he climbs the short steps to the stage and sits beside me on the edge, so close that our shoulders brush. The warmth of his presence is grounding, a stark contrast to the charged energy I felt moments ago. He turns to me, really looks at me, his gaze piercing yet soft, like he's seeing me for the first time. "You were beautiful, Claire," he says, his voice low and almost reverent, each word carrying a weight that sinks deep into my bones. I always knew there was more behind those eyes. I'm caught off guard, a wave of relief washing over me, mingling with confusion. His words aren't just acceptance, they're an acknowledgement, a release. They strip away the last lingering threads of guilt I've been clinging to, replacing them with something raw and honest, a connection between us that feels like it's been waiting to surface for years. I realize in this moment that he's not just okay with what happened. He wanted this, not out of some twisted desire, but as a way to break through the walls we've built around ourselves, to rediscover each other in a way we couldn't before. It's as if he's been waiting for me to step into this version of myself, to meet him halfway in a space where we can be unguarded, real. Sitting there, with the empty auditorium stretching out before us, I feel different, transformed in a way I can't quite put into words. My body, once a source of shame, something I've hidden under layers of fabric and self-doubt, feels alive now, truly seen. My fingers brush against the loose strands of hair that have fallen from my bun, tracing down to the exposed skin at my collarbone, and I don't flinch. There's no urge to cover up, no instinct to shrink. Instead, there's a quiet thrill in being bare, in letting myself exist without apology. I'm shedding the reserved, timid Claire I've been for so long, peeling back the layers to reveal someone bolder, someone who craves connection and isn't afraid to admit it. It's like I've been holding my breath for years, and now, finally, I'm exhaling, letting myself take up space in a way I never dared before. Mark reaches for my hand, his grip firm but gentle, his calloused fingers intertwining with mine. We sit in silence, side by side, staring out at the rows of empty seats as if they hold a new world we're stepping into together. The auditorium, once a place of overwhelming intensity, now feels like a sanctuary, a space where we've stripped away pretense and found something deeper. The faint hum of the lights above us, the creak. It's been a few days since that unforgettable moment in the auditorium, and I'm sitting in my home office, surrounded by the familiar chaos of papers and books. The clutter hasn't changed, but I have. I feel like a different person, like I've shed a heavy skin I didn't even know I was wearing. Today, for the first time in years, I've chosen a short-sleeved blouse, light and airy, letting the cool breeze from the open window brush against my bare arms. There's no shame in it, no urge to cover up. I run my fingers along my forearm, marveling at the simple freedom of feeling the air on my skin, something so small yet so profound. It's as if I'm rediscovering parts of myself I'd long buried, piece by piece, moment by moment. Mark and we've been talking more, really talking, in a way we haven't in ages. It's not just the surface stuff anymore, the polite chatter over coffee or the routine check-ins about our day. We're sharing things we've kept locked away, thoughts, desires, dreams we didn't dare voice before. There's a new closeness between us, not just in the way we touch, though that's there too, electric and renewed, but in the way we see each other. It's emotional, raw, like we've cracked open a door that had been sealed shut for years. That day in the auditorium, it did something to us. It unlocked a part of our bond we both needed, even if we didn't know it at the time. Sitting across from him at dinner last night, I caught myself laughing louder than I have in forever, even tossing a playful wink his way over a shared joke. Flirting, after all these years, it felt so natural, so right, like I'm finally stepping into a version of myself I've always wanted to be. I think about what happened, and I can honestly say I have no regrets. Not for the choices I made, not for letting go in a way I never thought I could. I know some might look at what I did and see shades of gray, a moral line blurred beyond recognition. And I get it. There's an ambiguity there, a complexity that doesn't fit neatly into right or wrong. But for me, it was about agency. It was my choice, my moment to take control of something I'd suppressed for so long. I chose to step into that unknown, to embrace a side of myself I'd hidden away. And in doing so, I changed. I'm not the same Claire who used to shrink from her own reflection, who wrapped herself in layers of fabric and doubt. I'm smiling more now, not just polite little smiles, but real ones that reach my eyes. My laughter fills the room, unapologetic and free. I feel lighter, like I've let go of a weight I didn't even realize I was carrying. Sometimes, I catch myself replaying that day in my mind, not with guilt or second-guessing, but with a quiet sense of awe. It wasn't just about the intensity of the moment, though that was undeniable. The way every touch, every whisper, seemed to awaken something dormant in me. It was about what it represented, a breaking point, a release, a chance to redefine who I am. I remember the cool air of the auditorium on my skin as barriers fell away, the heat of connection that pulsed through me, the unspoken understanding that passed between Mark and me when he joined me on that stage afterward. It wasn't just a fleeting thrill, it was a turning point. I've spent so long hiding, not just from the world but from myself, building walls so high I forgot what it felt like to breathe without them. Now, those walls are crumbling, and I'm not scrambling to rebuild them. I'm letting them fall, letting myself stand tall in the open space left behind. I've started noticing little changes in how I carry myself too. My steps are surer, my voice a little bolder when I speak. I don't shy away from mirrors anymore. Instead, I meet my own gaze with curiosity, even pride. I'm learning to like the woman looking back at me, the one who don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.